Hello everyone, this is Bassi and I welcome you all to the super duper NEET English channel by Unacademy NEET Success Simplified. So today is our first class of the batch which I launched day before yesterday, and the batch name is NEET Power Punch. So I hope that each and every one of you is going to be ready for this batch. So in this batch today, we are going to start with a very hard chapter according to you, and that chapter is genetics. How we are going to do here? We are going to go with some basic terminologies today, and when we clear the basic terminologies, then only we are going to move further. We have lots and lots of concepts, each and everything we will be discussing today, right? So I hope you will be sitting with your notebook and pen so that write along with me, because writing makes things easy to remember. So let's start the session. The chapter which we will be starting will be the principles of inheritance and variations, and in this we are going to start very basic things. So before going with anything like any terminologies or anything, let me start with the name of the scientists. Yes, first of all, let's discuss the names of the scientists. So the first name here I have the Gregor Mendel. Yes, Gregor Mendel. Do you know who was he? Obviously, he is one of the person who is named as father of genetics. So I can write here, Gregor Mendel is known as what? It is known as father of genetics. Now, can you tell me that on which organism this person, this scientist experimented? What was the name of the organism? What was the experimental organism? So here, if I talk about the Mendel experimented on an organism which was a plant, and the name of the plant is garden pea. He experimented on garden pea. Now, can anyone tell me what is the scientific name for this garden pea? So, the scientific name for this garden pea is Pisum sativum, right? Now, if I am writing a scientific name, so what some rules I have to follow? So I have written P capital, S small, which is totally fine, but we have to underline this whenever we are writing. Now, next scientist, the name of the next scientist was W. Batson. Let's write here W. Batson. Now, this scientist is also known as father of genetics, but more specifically, it is known as father of modern genetics. Batson is known as father of modern genetics. Now, these are the scientist names from which questions can arise in your NEET examination. So, better you remember this. Father of modern genetics. Now, what does this person did? So he gave some terminologies like genetics, allele, homozygous, heterozygous, all the terms, all the confusing terms were given by this person only. So gave terms like gene, allele, homozygous, heterozygous, all of these terms were given by this particular person whose name was Batson. Homozygous and heterozygous. So if I ask you, father of genetics, Mendel. Father of modern genetics, W. Batson. Right? Now, let's move on with the next scientist in the list, which is T.H. Morgan. And I hope so that you have heard this name very frequently. T.H. Morgan. Now, what does this T.H. Morgan did? And what do we call him? We call him as the father of experimental genetics. He was that kind of person. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this experiment, I'll do that experiment, and he has done so many experiments, right? So so that's why we have given a name to him, which is father of experimental genetics. So now, okay, whenever you are attending my class, just remember, just try to revise each and everything. Just try to remember each and everything in this class only. After the class, you just go and revise the notes, and your chapter, your session will be just completed in within 10 to 15 minutes, not more than that. So pay attention and try to remember each and every terminologies, each and everything, whatever we are discussing here. So, three things we discussed: Gregor Mendel, Batson, and T.H. Morgan. Gregor Mendel, father of genetics; Batson, modern genetics; T.H. Morgan, experimental genetics. Now, let's move on. And what was the experimental organ for T.H. Morgan? Can anyone tell me? What was the experimental organism for T.H. Morgan? Yes. Anyone? It was fruit fly. And again, what's the scientific name of this particular organism, which is fruit fly? So the scientific name for this is Drosophila. What is it? Drosophila. So let's write here Drosophila, right? Now, and what things he gave, what things he contributed? He gave more confusing terms. We have this particular scientist, he gave homozygous, heterozygous allele, a mini heart attack, right? But this T.H. Morgan gave a big heart attack, and he gave some more confusing terms to you, which you have to learn because questions will come in NEET. And the term was linkage and crossing over. All these terms, all these concepts were given by this particular person, which was T.H. Morgan. And chromosomal mapping was also given by this particular person. So let's write here chromosomal mapping, right? So many things, so many terms was given by T.H. Morgan. And this ends the list of the scientists? No, not right now. We have few more scientist lists. So now we have what? After reading about T.H. Morgan, we have the another name of the scientist, which is A. Gerard. Let's remember this person also, A. Gerard. Now, what is this A. Gerard? He is known as the father of biochemical genetics. He is known as father of biochemical genetics or human genetics also. Did I wrote the spelling of genetics wrong? No, it's correct. Or we can also call him as the father of human genetics. Now, what did he did? He studied alkaptonuria, black urine disease. Do you remember that? Okay, no issues. In human health and disease, and in this particular chapter also, we are going to cover that thing. So he experimented, he studied human genetics, he studied biochemical things of the genetics, and that's why we call him as the father of biochemical genetics. So now we have all the list of the scientists which we need to study, which was Mendel, Batson, Morgan, Gerard. Just close your eyes and try to remember. Mendel, Batson, Morgan, I saw you opening the eyes. Okay, Mendel, Batson, Morgan, and then we have the Gerard. So, father of genetics, Mendel. Father of modern genetics, Batson. Father of experimental genetics, Morgan. And father of biochemical genetics, Gerard. Now, we have done these things, and now it's time to get into this chapter and read about this chapter, that what actually genetics means, why we are going to study, what are the terms, each and everything we are going to discuss now. So if I give you a term, or I should ask you, what do you understand by genetics, right? Whenever some people ask you that, like Suppose that a relative came into your house or a very newborn baby born into your house. All the people will surround the baby and will discuss, oh, eyes looks like the mother, nose looks like father. And then grandparents will be like, no, the baby is on me. So why we are discussing this, like why the baby is kind of similar to the parents, or his eyes is similar to the parents, or his nose is similar to the parents? It's just because of some characters. This is to for sure that the mother has produced the baby, so that means something from the mother and father will come, right? So what and how and what are the characters, how the characters are expressed, everything we are going to study in this particular branch of biology, which is genetics, right? Okay, so if I need to define the thing which is genetics, a very simple definition which I'm going to give you, and that is what? That is the study of heredity and variations. So we can say that genetics is nothing but we can write it is study of heredity and variations. Now you are going to again get confused, sir. You said in such an easy manner and then you introduce two terms which is heredity and variation. Now what is this heredity and variations? Anyone in the comment section? Okay, no worries, I'm gonna tell you what is heredity and what is variation. See, let's suppose that you are seeing yourself and you are seeing your father or you are seeing your mother, okay, and then you are thinking that, okay, my this thing came from my father, my this shape of nose came from my mother, my eye color came from my mother, right? And then you might be thinking that, oh my god, I should have blue eyes, I should have gray eyes. So that is not possible. It's not on your will. Whatever genes you are going to get from your mother or father, or I should say from your parents, that is what, that character you are going to, that color you are going to get into your eyes. So can I say that heredity can be what? Heredity can be the transmission of characters from parents to offspring, from your mother to yourself, from your father to yourself, right? If there is any newborn baby in your family, so that newborn baby will have the characters of their mother and father, right? So the process, like the thing of giving the characters to the offspring from parents, is known as heredity, right? So can I write here transmission of, if you are facing this, that transmission is a very huge term, so I can write here transfer of also. So transmission, or I can say transfer of characters, from parents to offspring, from parents to offspring is known as what? Is known as heredity. And I think so that this particular definition is clear to you. So this is you. Okay, let's suppose this is not you. This is any random person, say X, and this is any random person, say Y, and both produced baby, and then the baby got a particular character, let's suppose this is skin color, okay? So I can say that this skin color of the baby was transferred from his or her parents, and this is how he got this color. So whatever the characters these particular parents were having, that character is shown in the baby, and the process of transferring of this character is known as heredity. That's all, and I think so heredity is clear to you. If it's clear, give me a thumbs up in the comment box. And if it's not clear, you can ask me that out, like, sir, please explain it again, and I will definitely explain it. Now, let's have the variations. Now, sir, you said that this is very true. Like, this question can come in your mind that, sir, you said that we get characters from our parents, but do we look like same? Like, if me and my father is gonna sit together, will you be having confusion in seeing like, oh, is this Harsh sir or is this Harsh sir's father? No, my father look very different from me, right? Like, not very different, but somewhat different. We can easily identify. So which means that during the transmission of characters there is something going on which creates variations, right? So that something we will going to study on later stages, like what that something is going on which is creating little differences. But as of now, let us understand the term variation. So variation, how can we define? See, if I talk about the variations, okay, this I will write it here. Now it's fine, I think so it will be visible to you. See, so you are also a human being, yes or no? Obviously, sir, I am also a human being and I am also a human being, right? So we both have two eyes, right? We have two ears, but if you stand in front of me, I will be able to recognize that you are some different person and another student is from different. Let's suppose I have two students, say Riya and Preetham. So I will be able to identify Riya and Preetham, or let's suppose I have Preetham or any person like Yash. So I will be able to identify Preetham and Yash because of variations. So how can we define variations? Variations can be defined as differences within the same species, and these differences can be internal as well as internal. Okay, so let's have a proper definition here, that what is variations? Difference between the characters of same species is known as what? Is known as variations. Clear? I hope that this thing is very much clear to you, that what do we understand by variations, right? Okay, now we understood the term heredity, we understood the term variations. Now we are going to move forward and we are going to understand some of the basic terminologies which we are going to use very frequently in our chapter. Are you ready for this? And I hope that you all have understood about this thing and written this thing, right? Clear. That's very good. Now, before moving to the terms, I would like to introduce a particular type of variations, right? So variations are also are of different types. How, sir? How? What types of variations do we have? So see, first we have one variation. Let's suppose I am getting little fat day by day, and that's true. So if what I do, if I have become fat, so if I have become fat, just give me 1 second. Okay, I am back. So my dog got excited that I'm teaching on YouTube, and he was also saying that yeah, answer. He was giving the answers. Okay, now let's get back quickly here. So if what I was saying, that let's suppose that I became fat, right? So if I became fat, does that means my baby, when I'm gonna produce baby, that baby will be also fat? No. If suppose I am a biology teacher, that means my baby will crack NEET very easily? No. No, never. So these variations was what? These variations was developed by me during my lifetime. This variation was not developed inside my genes, right? So what things we can write here? That according to this example, we can say that variations are of two types. Variations are of two types. One is the somatic variation, okay, and the another one we can write germinal. The other one we can write germinal. So somatic is what? Somatic variation is that kind of variation which is happening in somatic cells, like non-genetic cells of my body, like the fat tissue. Like let's suppose I started going to gym, so I developed muscle, so my muscle tissue will have that variation. So that muscle tissue and fat tissue is not, they has no relation regarding the gamete formation and all, right? And there will be no change inside the genetic material of these somatic cells. So such type of variations are known as somatic variations. So I can write here variations in somatic cells. Somatic cells. For example, your muscle cell. Your muscle cell. And can those variations be transferred to your next generation? No. If you become a doctor, do you get 110% proof that your child is gonna be a doctor? No. He has to study also, right? He has to study with me also. Okay. Now, so these variations will not be transferred into next generation. Will not be transferred into next generation. Into next generation. So I hope you understood what is somatic, right? Now let's talk about the germinal variation. So germinal variation is what? Something happening in your gamete cells, gamete forming cells. If the variation is inside the gamete forming cells, then it will be inherited to the next generation. It can, how it can be formed, like, so there can be some mutation, there can be something like evolution which may create some variations in your genetic material. So such type of variations will be transferred to the next generation. So let's write here. Where should I write? Okay, I will do the magic, and this magic will create some space. So tada, clap for my magic. Okay. Now see, so we have this germinal one. So germinal is what? Variations in gamete producing cells. Okay, variations in gamete producing cells. Variation in gamete producing cell, and such type of variations will be transferred from you to your babies. Clear? Got it? So we completed so many things right now. We completed the list of what? List of scientists. Then we completed two terminologies. We understood what was heredity and what was variation. Clear? Now let's move on and let's talk about these terms. Okay, we discussed variations, right? Now we have all those confusing terms in front of you. So are you ready to crack these terms? In this session, I promise you that from now onwards, you will not have any confusion in characters, traits, gene, alleles, homozygous, heterozygous, genotype, phenotype, nothing. No confusion. If you are not able to understand a single thing, there is a comment box on YouTube. So use that comment box. Okay. Now, let's start with the characters. What do we understand by characters? Now, you are seeing me, so you can judge. Oh, sir has hairs. Yeah, I have hair. Sir has eyes. Okay. What's the height of the sir? So these things you can judge, right? Definitely. So whatever the things you are able to see, I can say that those things are characters, like any feature of organism. Okay. Any feature. What kind of feature? Like humans have ears, humans have eyes, humans have lips, humans have hairs on their bodies, right? So this kind of things can be characterized, can be said as characters. So I can write here any feature of organism, any feature of organism. This is known as what? This can be considered as characters. Clear? Now, if I talk about the plant, so if you are seeing a plant and you are just discussing about the height, okay, plant's height, then you are discussing about the leaves, color of the leaves, then you are discussing about the shape of the seeds. So such kind of things are what? Such kind of things are the characters. Clear? So let's have some examples. One example, we have what? We have the plant height, right? And we are human beings, so I'm going to give you the example for human beings also. So eye color. And what we can write? We can also write what? Hair color? Yes, hair color, right? So this thing we have discussed, and this is known as the characters. But wait, there is one thing here which is still very much confusing, right? Like, sir, we discussed about the characters, we discussed about these things, but one thing is confusion, like plant height. What? Is it short or is it tall? Eye color. Is it brown or is it gray? Right? Hair color. Is it brown or is it black? So this kind of questions is continuously coming to us, right? If I am going to say like what, whether the plant height is tall or short, whether you have eye color, black color or blue color, so that type of characters can be called as traits, right? So if I'm saying that plant height can be tall or short, eye color can be black or brown, and hair color can be black and what, and golden. We are skipping that person like who just do the coloring thing. So that is what, that is from the outside, it's not natural, right? So black, brown, hair, black, golden. So this types of characters are called as what? They are called as traits. So this black and brown will be called as traits. This tall and short will be called as trait, right? And this black and golden will be called as trait. Now I'm gonna ask you some questions. Okay, ready everyone? Okay, so the questions I'll give you some things and you have to comment down whether it is a character or it is a trait. Okay, let's suppose body type. Okay, so body type is a character. A person who is having a skinny body type will be trait. If he is having a fat body, it will be trait. Okay, if I'm talking about the skin color, so skin color is a character, and if suppose that a person is having black skin color, that will be a trait. If a person is having white skin color, that will be a trait. Okay, if I'm talking about the shape of the seed, so this shape of the seed is what? It is a character. And is it round, is it oval, is it square, whatever, so that is what, that is traits. So I hope that the difference between the characters and the traits is pretty much clear to all of you. Now let's move on and let us discuss about, should we write a definition for a trait? Yes, definitely. So let me write a definition. They can be called as the what? They can be called as the form of genes, form of characters. Okay, different forms of characters, or I can also say that variations of characters, right? So again, if we are writing, we should make a proper note. So I am writing here plant height, which will be a character, and is it tall or is it short? That will be what? That will be the trait. So yeah, we did this. Okay. Oh, I'll write trait fully, otherwise you will get confused here. Trait, and this is also a trait. I hope this particular concept is pretty much clear to you all. Done? Now let's move on with the next terminologies, that is gene. And I am very much sure, I'm 100% sure many of you will be confused. What is gene? What is DNA? What is allele? Right? So all the confusions I'm gonna clear you right now. Okay, before that, can I ask you some questions? Obviously I can ask, right? I have this much right to ask many questions from you. Okay, so this is what? This is a It's not a circle, it's a cell, okay? We are studying biology. So what is this? This is a cell, and inside the cell what we have? A nucleus. Clear? And inside the nucleus what do we have? Some of you will say DNA, some of you will say genes, some of you will can say RNA also, anything you can say, right? But I am going to give you a particular term. You should say chromatin. What you should say? Chromatin. Okay? Chromatin. Now, what happened is that inside the nucleus, genes are present, but they're highly condensed. They are just folded. I should not use the term condensed here. I should use highly folded. Like gene is around 2 meter long, and 2 meter gene DNA is just packed into this particular small nucleus. So just imagine how much tangled it can be, just like this wire. It's just tangled like this, and this particular thing is called as chromatin. Okay, clear to everyone? Now, cell is doing his daily life. He's producing energy. He's doing some metabolic activities. But suddenly, this nucleus gave order to the cell to start division. Now, when the cell gets order to divide and when the cell starts dividing, this chromatin gets condensed. This chromatin gets condensed and it forms chromosomes. And it starts to form chromosome. So that means condensation of this chromatin forms what? Forms chromosomes, right? So chromatin is what? Normal state, nothing. The cell is doing chill pill just like us. We are just chilling right now. Oh, NEET is 7 months away, sir. I'll crack NEET in 1 month. That's not possible, okay? So chromatin is that kind of stage, is present in that kind of stage when the cell is kind of chilling pilling, right? So chromatin is basically what? It is present in the resting phase. And then we have chromosomes. Okay, the ones who are watching my session, if you can say hi, hello to me, I will feel much better rather than just sitting quiet and watching my lecture. Okay, chalo, let's get back. So chromatin is basically what? It is in resting state, right? And then chromosomes will be formed when the cell division will start. Okay, and can I say that this chromosome is what? It is the condensed form of chromatin. Lots and lots of condensation will take place. How it will take place, what will happen, everything we will discuss in the next chapter. Condensation, just the basic we are discussing here. Okay, and now if I talk about the chromosomes, so let's suppose this is your chromosome. Okay, I just have this thing in front of me. So this particular thing is the chromosome, like, okay, and this thing, if I take a wire or a thing here, so this is the DNA, right? So multiple DNAs, chromosomes will have a thread-like structure which will be known as DNA, right? So let's make a thread-like structure here. Let's suppose this is your DNA. Okay, and if this is my DNA, not anyone's DNA, so we can see some of the parts here, let's suppose, or let me make a diagram in the next page. Just a second. Yeah, so we understood about the chromosome, right? And after this chromosome will consist of lots and lots of DNA segments or DNA. So our DNA kind of look like this. Now here comes the another term. We are going to understand gene, we are going to understand DNA, and we are going to understand everything in this diagram only. Clear? So if I am talking about this particular gene or this particular DNA, so in this particular DNA, let's suppose that this thing is what? This thing is coding for your eye color. This thing is coding for your eye color. Okay, I know the color spelling is wrong. This thing is coding for the eye color. And this thing may be coding for your, what should I say? Hair color, okay. Hair color. Right? So we have this eye color and we have this hair color. Now, if I talk about this particular thing, that is eye color here, so now I am going to say that what? This is a gene. So part of DNA, just remember what just listen to me what I am saying. Part of DNA which is coding for something, is known as gene, right? So if suppose that you live in a house, obviously sir, everyone lives in a house. So in a house, most probably will have few rooms and will have some open space, right? So in the house also, the everything inside your boundary can be considered as a house, right? But where do you live? You live inside your room. So if you're considering your house as a DNA, so your room can be considered as a gene. Clear? Everything clear? That means the open spaces cannot be considered as room because you're not living there. So the particular thing in which particular point that is doing something which is coding for some characters, that particular thing is only known as gene. I hope that this is pretty much clear to you. And if it is clear to you, we are going to write a proper definition for this particular thing. So what is a gene? A segment of DNA which forms RNA and may form a protein. What is this, sir? Okay. See, a very basic definition first we will write, and whatever I said after that I'm gonna say you. So what is a gene? A segment of DNA, a segment of DNA which codes for something. Okay, as of now let's write this only, a segment of DNA which codes for something. Right? Okay, now what we have, we should know a proper definition also. So what does this gene do? Like what it's doing? Like is it does it have a Harry Potter wand and saying something and yeah, the eye color changed, hair color changed? No. So this gene is basically what? This gene is basically forming the RNA, right? And this RNA makes the proteins. And this is how the characters are produced. So I can say that gene is what? Gene is that segment of DNA which produces RNA and proteins and helps to give a character. Clear? So gene can be defined, the best definition of the gene should be a segment of DNA which forms RNA and may form a protein. Clear? And this is very shocking that we have that 2-meter DNA inside us, but 98% is not working. Only 2 to 3% is able to code for the characters, and those segments will be only called as gene. I hope that this is clear to you. So I can say here that in this diagram, this particular thing, I can say a gene 1, right? And here I can say that this is gene 2. Gene 2. Clear? Now, should I move forward? Do you need a break? Oh, I'm not going to give you a break, okay? Well, in a 1-hour class, you guys need a break. No? Okay. Now, let's again start the next thing, which is allele. So, what is allele? Sir, you are here to make us study, right? But I can ask you the questions as well. Do anyone know about the allele? If yes, let me know. If not, it's fine. I am here to make you understand what is allele. See. Okay. I said you, let's copy this diagram. Let me copy this diagram. Okay, leave it. How should we understand? We will be understanding this allele in a very, very clear concept. Okay, see. We have what? We have a couple. Okay, let's suppose that we have a couple and that couple is going to produce a baby. Okay, this is mother. I will take a father with different color. So let's suppose we have a mother and we have a father. This is mother and then we have father here. Okay, clear? Next, if I talk about what is the ploidy of human beings or how many chromosomes do we have? So number one thing, you're going to say, sir, we are diploid and we have 43 chromosomes, right? Good. So 46 chromosomes. So I can write here that we are 2n, which is diploid, and we have 46 chromosomes. Very clear? Any doubts? No doubts? That's great. Should we move forward? Obviously, yes. Now, if I'm talking about these 46 chromosomes, how is this 46 chromosomes gonna look inside us? See here. We are talking about a diploid organism, which is 2n. And in this 2n, in this 2n, if I make you understand with the help of a diagram, so here we have one pair of one chromosome and then here we have the other chromosome. Let me change the color. So if I say that this is chromosome number 1, this is chromosome number 1. So in your body, in our body, we have what? We will have a copy of chromosome number 1. So basically, we are not going to have a single chromosome number 1. We are going to have two chromosome number 1, right? So one part will come from your mother and one part will come from our father. So this is what this is a structure of chromosome or how a chromosome is present inside a diploid body. But next, if I ask you about the structure of chromosome in the haploid thing. So in haploid, how it is present? See here. So let's write here haploid. For haploid, let us write here. So for haploid, we have what? Chromosome number 1. That's it. This is the chromosome number 1. Clear? I think so. Is there any issues with my screen or anything? Everything is going fine? Let me know. Okay, let me check. Is everything fine? Which is 2n. Yeah, great. In this 2n, now let's get back. Okay, great. So this is what? This was the chromosome number 1. From where? From the inside the diploid body, and this is the chromosome number 1 inside the haploid body. So I hope you understood that in diploid we have two pairs and in haploid in diploid we have two chromosomes and in haploid we have just only one thing, right? I think so that's clear to everyone. Now let us understand this gene and allele. Okay, so let's take this thing. We have this chromosome, okay, which is inside the 2n, which is diploid one, diploid structure we have here. And here if I am going to talk about that this particular portion is having some gene, and the gene is for eye color. The gene is for eye color, okay. But this was the chromosome which came from your father and this was your chromosome which came from the mother. We have these two different chromosomes, right, which came from mother and which came from father. Clear? And then what we can have is that the mother contains the eye color as brown. Let's suppose the mother's eye color is brown. So that means the genes which you have got from the mother, the color is brown. And the father's eye was, let's suppose, black. So can I say that we have some differences, we have types of eye colors here, right? So the gene is having different types, which is black and brown here, and this is known as allele. Yes, different forms of gene is known as allele. You can see here that we have what? We have a gene which is having two different forms, which is black or brown. So eye color represents the gene, and the black, brown, the types of eye color represents what? It represents the alleles. So I hope that now this is pretty much clear that what is allele and what is a gene. Clear? So gene was a segment of DNA, and allele is what? Allele is the variations or the forms of gene present on the chromosomes. Okay, so let's write here what is a gene. Variations or forms of a gene. Variation or forms of a gene. That is what? That is the gene. Sorry, allele. Okay, is known as allele. Now let us understand few more terms here. We discussed that one of these chromosomes came from your father and one of your chromosomes came from your mother, right? So can we consider these chromosomes as homologous chromosomes? Yes or no? Can we consider such type of chromosomes as homologous chromosome? Yes, definitely we can. So these two chromosomes we have, they are considered as what? They are considered as homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes, right? And what I can say is that, what we can see here is that if I'm talking about this eye color, so both the alleles were present at the same time. Both the allele is present at the same place, right? Like we have this one and this one. So we can add something in the definition of the gene, and that thing can be called as what? That can be called as locus. Yes, can you see these points? These points are what? These points are same in both the chromosomes. So alleles are basically what? They are the forms of gene. They are the forms of gene present on the same position, present on the same point in homologous chromosomes. That can be called as allele. So I can write here present where? Present in the same position. Present in the same position. And just in this case of DNA and RNA, we use the term which is called as locus. Position, we say position locus here. Okay. So now understood about the gene. I hope so that it's clear. We discussed about the alleles. We discussed about the gene. So what was allele? What was gene? I'm just gonna revise. I'll make you revise. Like we have a segment of DNA which was coding for something was allele. And what was gene. And what was allele? The allele was the forms of what? Different forms of a gene, right? So it's clear. Let's say here, what was a gene? This segment is coding for something, so this was called as gene, right? Let's suppose the gene for eye color, right? And we saw that we have different types of genes for eye color. Let's suppose we have brown, we have gray. So this thing are known as alleles. And where they are present? They are present on the same locus of homologous chromosomes. What was homologous chromosomes? The same kind of chromosomes, one which we get from father and the other which we get from mother. I think so these terms are clear to you. If you have any kinds of doubt, let me know in the comment section. Now let's move forward and let us talk about some other term, which is homozygous condition. Now, what do you understand by homozygous condition and heterozygous condition? See, if I'm going to talk about the homozygous and heterozygous, homo means, sir, capital T and small t, and hetero means capital T, small t. This is what we have learned from the previous class. But now this thing is not gonna work here, because you need to have a clear depth knowledge that what is homozygous and what is heterozygous, right? So let's take this thing again. Which thing? This particular thing which we made, right? Homologous chromosomes. So let me copy this, and then we have this thing which is homozygous. Okay. Now let's suppose that now what we are having, we are taking an example of plant height. Let's take the example of plant height. Okay, so we know, right, like from the previous classes we have studied that plant height are of basically two types. One is tall and the other one is short, right? Okay, so if suppose that this structure now represents, this point represents the gene for the plant height, and I am gonna say that this is the one allele which is representing tall height, and this is the another allele which is also representing a tall height. So such type of alleles will be called as homozygous alleles, or such type of conditions will be called as homozygous condition. I hope that this thing is clear to you. I think so my screen is lagging, so let me check once. Just a second, guys. Okay, yeah, little bit it is lagging, but it's okay. We can manage. Yeah, it's fine. It's pretty much fine. Now, let's move on and let's go into the explanation. We were discussing about the homozygous thing, right? So, what was homozygous here? Homozygous, we saw the example that we took a gene for plant height, okay, and we took two chromosomes which were the homologous chromosomes, and on those homologous chromosomes there were two different type of allele present, but both the allele was having the character of tall plant. So such condition will be known as what? Will be known as homozygous condition. And if suppose that in another gene there is suppose capital T and small t, right? In another place there is another gene, and in that thing one chromosome is having capital T and the other chromosome is having small t. So such type of thing condition will be known as heterozygous condition. So homologous chromosomes are what? Sorry, homozygous condition is what? A condition in which both the alleles are of same types. Heterozygous condition is what? It is a condition in which both the alleles are of different types. So now you are, I think so you are able to understand that where this capital T or capital T small t are literally present. Now you can have a kind of imagination that okay, we have the homologous chromosome, and inside the homologous chromosomes in one thing we have capital T and the other chromosomes we have the capital T, and this capital T basically is what? They are the alleles, and if these alleles are same then we are going to call them as homozygous condition, and if these alleles are different then we are going to call it as heterozygous condition. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes? Great. I'm going to erase this line. Why this line is present here? Okay. So this is what? This is the homozygous condition. this thing is homozygous condition, and this particular thing is the heterozygous condition. So I hope now you are very happy to learn these terms. Heterozygous condition. Now should we revise quickly? Should we revise some things quickly? What things we have studied? We have studied gene. Gene was the part of DNA which is coding for some protein which was making RNA, and RNA was making protein. And what was allele? The different kind of gene was allele, right? Then we discussed about the homozygous and the heterozygous condition. So this condition is heterozygous condition, and homozygous condition was what? Capital T, capital T. Same thing is what? Same kind of allele, homozygous. Different kind of allele, heterozygous, right? Now, how do we represent this allele? So we represent this allele with the help of the alphabets. As you can see here, we have represented capital T and small t, right? Now, what does this capital T and small t basically means here? See, if I'm going to talk about the capital T and if I'm going to talk about the small t, so this capital T is basically what? It represents the dominant character, okay? It represents the dominant character. And small t represents the recessive. Now, what is dominant and what is recessive? We are going to discuss here. So, as of now, just remember like this, that capital T is more powerful over small t. If capital T is present, then the plant will be tall. It is more powerful. And small t is what? Small t is not powerful. In front of this particular capital T, small t cannot produce anything, cannot show its character, right? I think so this particular thing is clear. Should we move forward now? Okay. Just give me a second. I will check if everything is gonna fine or not. Okay. I will be resharing my screen, so you guys have to wait for a second. Can you wait for me? Obviously you can. So until then, we will be revising some of the things, okay? Right. Draw this diagram. I'm giving you 2 minutes so that you can think, and if you have any kind of doubts, let me know in the comment section. No doubts? No one? That's very good. If you don't have any doubts, that's really very good. Now, should we move forward now? Homozygous we have discussed. We have discussed the heterozygous also. Now the term comes hemizygous. Yes, hemizygous. Who is going to tell me, or anyone who has any idea of what hemizygous condition is? Anyone, any idea about the hemizygous condition? Yes or no? Say fast. No one? Okay. I'm going to give you the example. I'm going to help you in this case. So what things do we have? First of all, if I talk about the hemizygous condition, we should remember one thing, that the chromosomes in male, okay? So if I talk about a male body, what kind of chromosomes do we have? We have, sir, we have X and Y chromosomes, right? Which means we have different chromosomes. In female, we have XX chromosomes, and in male, we have the XY chromosome. And Y chromosome is what? Y chromosome is little short than the X chromosome, okay? So if I'm going to make here that this is the X chromosome, let's suppose, so Y chromosome will be kind of like this, okay? This will be the Y chromosome. Now what? Now I am going to give you the example of this particular thing. On this X chromosome, we have a allele or a gene. Let's talk about, as of now, let's say this as a gene. Gene for color blindness. Gene for color blindness. Okay. But do you have a same copy here? Can you see this? No, sir, we can't see because it's not there. So in case of hemizygous condition, what we are going to say, a condition in which there is what? There is only one pair, or sorry, only one gene or one allele present in a diploid body. Such kind of condition will be known as hemizygous condition. That means what? If in our diploid body there is only what? Only one gene copy, only one allele is present, that condition is known as hemizygous condition. So let's write here what's happening here. Only one allele is present in a diploid individual, and this condition is known as hemizygous condition. And for example, yes, gene for color blindness in human males is present only on X chromosomes, and in Y chromosomes there is no gene. So just imagine if suppose we got a defective X chromosome which is having something for the color blindness, that means we will have color blindness. The chances of color blindness in males are pretty much high, because in females there may be another X chromosome, right, which can help in the to manage some condition, but whatever happens in males, this thing is only responsible. So kind of males are having high chances for the color blindness. Now let's move on and let us talk about few other terms, which is phenotype and genotype. Okay, so what is this phenotype and genotype? Phenotype, just remember, P is for physical appearance, P for physical, and thus phenotype means what? The external characters, nothing else. Phenotype means what? Phenotype means the external characters. How do you look? How a plant is looking? What is the color for the plant? All these things comes under the phenotype. All the external characters, is considered as a phenotype. So if you are seeing a plant, if you are seeing the plant is tall, so tall is a phenotype. If you are seeing a plant which is dwarf, which is short, so that thing is what? That thing is a phenotype. Okay. But how this tall is being made, how this what is the cause of this tall plant, what is the cause of this short plant, that thing is decided by the genes, right? So if we are talking about the genetic composition behind the physical appearance, that will be known as genotype. Okay, so let's write here genotype. So genotype is basically what? Genotype is basically, if I am having a tall plant, say plant which is tall, so that may have genotype as capital T, or it can have capital T and small t. If I am talking about a short plant, so it may have small t and small t as its genotype. I hope that this thing is clear. So genotype is clear, phenotype is clear, and we have discussed homozygous condition, heterozygous condition. We have also discussed hemizygous condition. We have discussed what is gene, we have discussed what is allele, and we have discussed few scientists which contributed in what? Which contributed in the discoveries and inventions and the studies in this particular field. So the session was all about the basic concepts, and we have discussed almost all the basic concepts here. And in the next video, in the next class, which is going to happen at 7 p.m. tomorrow, in that class we are going to have what? We are going to start the Mendelian genetics, which is very important, and from there only the concepts comes. So till then, bye bye everyone, and stay tuned. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, you know what you have to do, right? Do subscribe, share this video among your friends, and Let's crack NEET with our PowerPoint. Bye bye everyone. See you in the next session.